Kia ora and welcome to Cinema in Context, where we discuss all things film and the connections between. My name is Jeremy Downing.
It's me, William Chen.
Welcome, William. It was wonderful. And we don't have Sarah with us this month. We are joined by the wonderful Billy Revell-Siō.
Hi, I'm Billy.
It's a me, Luigi. So welcome, Billy. It's good to have you back. I think this is your third time.
Yes,
with us,
yeah, it is.
We did The Five Bloods.
That's right.
What
that
else
was
ages ago.
Yeah.
Spike Lee's film. I was going to say great film. It wasn't great.
It wasn't great.
And what else have you been with us for?
It was the Thor movie, I think.
The fourth Thor?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Oh, that was a film. Actually, have you seen Taika Waititi's new trailer come out this week?
Yes.
The last Thor ones?
Yeah, the American Samoan story.
Yeah.
With Fassbender in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. And Oscar Kitely's in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the priest from Hunt for the Wilder People's in there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the same character, but it's Taika Waititi's another priest.
Aha, gotcha.
So, yeah. Anyway, it's good to have you, Billy and William. Great to have you. Each month at Cinema in Context, we discuss two films, one current and one retrospective with some connection. It could be the same director, the same actor, or a similar theme. This month, we are discussing the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which came out this year. Fully animated, a new film from Illumination Studio. Illumination, is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of Minions fame. And Super Mario Bros., which came out 30 years ago in 1993. The connection being, well, they're both about the Mario Brothers franchise. Nintendo's long-standing gaming kind of phenomenon. Yeah. Awesome. William, give us a bit of an introduction to the new film, this animated wonder, Super Mario Bros. Movie.
And what an animated wonder it is, Jeremy. Guys. I watched a visually resplendent animated adaptation of a property that's been beloved by people of all ages for decades, where characters voiced by Chris Pratt and Charlie Day have to journey to different themed worlds to mount a resistance against a tyrannical ruler, only to be pulled into the real world for the final showdown. But enough about the Lego movie!
Yeah, I was waiting for it. Amazing. But I think it's fair to say that there are some clear connections here.
Oh, heck yeah. And I think a lot of people have been very, very strangely disparaging towards the Mario movie because of the comparisons to what most people think is the more superior product, the Lego movie from 2014.
Nice. Awesome. Well, we'll get into that very, very shortly. Billy, we've kind of thrown you the task of summarizing whatever Super Mario Bros. 1993 is. So I'm going to just hand the floor to you. Give us a bit of a summary of this film.
Well, I think to really understand and appreciate the beauty of this movie, Super Mario Bros. 1993.
Yeah.
It's how you find it on the internet, because it's very hard to find. We have to go back to 1993. It's 93. You're having your Paradiso ice cream. You're sitting in the movie theater and you've just watched the trailer for Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Just coming out, and you've enjoyed the 3 Alien films. We've had 3 Alien films, and you're excited now because you've been playing this 2-dimensional Mario game for how long, and you're excited to know more about their characters. And so that's what you get. You get this hodgepodge film of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
In the Mario themed underworld, or otherworld, because it's a different dimension, similar to the new movie too, in some ways.
Yeah.
In that way, anyway. I don't think in any other way it's similar. You've got Bob Hoskins playing Mario, which is like a cool fit, I think. But I think the last time we would have seen him is in the awkward rabbit film.
When did Hook come out?
Oh, maybe
He's Shmi.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. What was that,
Yo,
91,
shit.
92?
Yeah, somewhere
Yeah.
around there. But yeah, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah. And John
Leguizamo?
Leguizamo, who's awesome. Mm-hmm. Especially in this movie, it's like cool. It's fun to see him as a young person.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's Luigi. I don't know. I don't know. Like and then and it's got all of like it's from Hollywood Pictures, which is like a Disney subsidiary.
Right.
And it's got all the same hallmarks of like awkward sexuality.
My God,
built
does it
into,
ever?
like a kid's film essentially, which is not because that's same as Bob Hoskins and the Roger Rabbit kind of stuff. Like there's this weird sexuality that seems to be acceptable in these old school films.
Yeah.
And so, that is the Mario movie of 1993. I didn't know what I was watching. I kind of just started it and went along for the ride because,
I think that's perfect. I just want to say I usually have a spoiler warning at this point because we will spoiler both movies. But I think with Super Mario Bros. The movie, the new one, they're both so similarly titled, it's going to get confusing. The one that came out this year, there's not huge surprises in it. It's kind of relatively formulaic. And this old one, it's almost like you want to hear the spoilers to be compelled to go and watch that thing. So usually I'd say pause it and come back at a future date. Just listen to our rambles. I think you'll be convinced whether you want to jump into this movie.
Yeah.
I'm keen to start with that.
Heck yeah. Let's start by talking about the weird sexuality. Guys, why? Why is this movie based on Super Mario Bros? Again, as you very, very aptly said, Billy, it's a 2D platformer, right? You have these mustachioed cartoon Italians going around bouncing on mushrooms, stomping turtles, and saving princesses. And the question is, why is this movie so horny?
Yeah. I mean,
on multiple levels. I mean, John Leguizamo spends a whole part of it with his shirt off. Why? No reason, because it's hot? I don't know.
Hey Mario, I met this guy and I met this girl and I like her.
Yeah,
that's the premise of this.
When they're like having the double date together, which is like something out of Fisher King.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm like, what am I watching? And what am I watching was the question I just kept asking myself. When you get to like cyberpunk Blade Runner Brazil land, with weird quote unquote fungus everywhere, and
it's
like
so gross.
It's so gross, and I hear the alien stuff, like just weird stuff.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, Jeremy, did you read that? This is from the same production designer as Blade Runner.
Oh.
Yeah. And so he wanted to bring a lot of those styles
that makes
to
so much more
New
sense. I was trying to look for how did they make this movie? Because the directors aren't very well known, right?
So what I've read is that the script was written by these quite well respected writers in Hollywood. They wanted to write a gritty, adult, dark story about the two brothers
who are plumbers.
And I'm like, okay, first of all, that's just a massive question mark.
Nice, a question mark block.
It's Ed Solomon, right? Who wrote
possibly.
Who's the what's the Bill and Ted?
Right, Ed Solomon.
Because I saw lots of that. Like even the two, like Spike and the Cooper cousins.
Yeah.
He did Men in Black as well.
Well, because it's from the directors of Max Headroom, which is what a movie to come off of. Which is cyberpunk, crazy digital effects, really really gritty, crazy stuff. And then it's a husband and wife team. The directors are Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel. And just reading some of the behind the scenes stuff on the Mario Bros. Movie it sounds like a nightmare in the worst possible way.
Yeah.
All the actors have since come out and said that it was one of the worst experiences of their working lives. I'll read some quotes, which you read this stuff and it's like, my goodness. So, Legacy, in a 2007 interview, Hoskins said, and I just imagine his Brooklyn accent.
Yeah.
The worst thing I ever did, Super Mario Bros. It was an effing nightmare. He didn't say effing. The whole experience was a nightmare. It was a husband and wife team directing whose arrogance had been mistaken for talent. After so many weeks against their own agent, told them to get off the set. Effing nightmare. Effing idiots. And then Dennis Hopper in 2008. It was a nightmare, very honestly, that movie. It was the directing team who were both control freaks and couldn't talk before they made any decisions. Anyway, I was supposed to be down there for 5 weeks, and I was there for 17. My 6-year-old son at the time, he's now 18, he said, "Dad, I think you're probably a pretty good actor, but why'd you play that terrible guy, King Koopa?" And I said, "Well, Henry, I did so that you could have shoes." And he said, "Dad, I don't need shoes that badly."
I mean, from what I understand, the studio freaked out a little bit with the script being too adult, and so they ordered rewrites without consulting with the directors or with any of the cast. So those are quite disparaging of the husband and wife team, which I'm sure is true. But I also think the process, particularly around that time, if you think about Alien 3, they did the same thing to Alien 3. They kept undercutting directors, and it just makes messy movies. Can we talk about, though, so there are some really cool effects in this film.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like the scene where King Koopa and Mario are like disintegrating into the real world. I was like, for 1993, that's pretty cool.
It's incredible.
And then the amount of money they spent on sets. It's like every random scene has a whole new set. I'm like, this movie, no wonder it went fully over budget.
Yeah, and it had a massive budget too, Like,
I think so, yeah.
For what it was, I'm quite surprised by how much. I can't remember how much it was, but I remember being surprised by that.
I think the idea is, it's an established property. The video game is the most famous video game around, probably. And so why wouldn't you make money off this stuff? But yeah, the special effects and the set are both incredible, I think. Reading a lot after watching this movie again, apparently the stuff, like the algorithms and the effects they created for this movie have now gone to be industry standards. Like it's a program called Autodesk Flame, which everyone uses for animation. And it was started and created for this movie.
Right. Wow, that's something to be said. And there is something about this film that is kind of endearing in the midst of just the randomness. Other films I thought of was the post-Burton Batman movies, so the Joel Schumacher Batman movies. There was kind of that campy quality, especially with King Koopa's henchwoman, Mrs. Dursley from the Harry Potter movies.
Oh my god. Fiona Shaw?
Yeah. Horny as.
What is she? Is she his girlfriend or secretary or... what is her role?
Yeah, she's been working her way up to marry him. I don't know.
Well, they take mud baths together.
Yeah. Dune, so there's connections to Dune there. Is she a dinosaur as well?
I think so.
Is the idea that they've evolved from dinosaurs in the same way that humans have evolved from apes?
I think so.
But they look like primates?
Yeah.
But what is the fungus connection there? Because that's what I was trying to understand.
That I think it's some of the people are directly descended from mushrooms, and some from T-Rexes, and some from other things that are ancient, I guess.
Can we talk about the weird as like floppy disk game graphics opening to the movie?
Oh my god!
The prologue
with Homer Simpson narrating.
Is it?
It's like 65 million years ago there were dinosaurs, and it looks like a CD-ROM, one of those magic school bus educational experiences straight from the year of 1992.
It's what I was just like, wow, okay. Okay, can we pivot actually to the new movie? Because what I would like to, when I was watching the film, I hadn't even watched this old one yet, but when it started off with Mario and Luigi as plumbers in, I guess they're in Brooklyn as well, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is a nice homage to the old movie. Like, I think that's a clear homage to that, because where else does that ever appear in the canon of Mario? And it's a cool little bit, right? He's got this Italian Brooklyn family, and they go, just like you mentioned, Billy, like they go through a portal down in the sewers to this new world. That has to be a connection, right?
Yeah, I think also, like, it's kind of a throwback to just how actually weird the idea of Mario Bros is.
Yeah.
Like, I think we have to acknowledge that as well. Like, 92, they were trying to make it some kind of realistic. This could actually happen in a different universe thing. But, like, it's a Japanese game I don't know too much of the history of.
Well, it's from Donkey Kong, right? Donkey Kong
Oh
came
yeah,
first.
with Jumpman.
Yeah.
And they have that Jumpman reference.
Oh yeah, they have a Jumpman arcade in their restaurant.
Yeah. Do you know that the Luigi came about simply because they needed to have 2 players for that game? And I think, unless I'm confusing it with another game, but whenever they needed 2 players, whether it was Donkey Kong or the new Super Mario Brothers, and they picked a green from the Koopas. And so they just duplicated the artwork because they could only have so much artwork in
for
those.
pixel colors.
Yeah, and just for actual design as well. So the reason why Luigi and Mario look so similar is because they just had to duplicate the artwork. Like it was a pure storage problem.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so weird. It's a weird Japanese game about Italian plumbers
Eating mushrooms.
Yeah, they
eating
gain
mushrooms
powers by eating Yeah.
and fighting dinosaur turtles.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah. Well, let's talk because I'm a huge. Well, you're a Mario player. We're all Mario players, and the kind of mythology of Mario has really built and developed over time. Like, does the Daisy character come from this old movie?
I don't think so. I think Daisy was first introduced in the Game Boy game, Super Mario Land, and she was a princess from another land, and she ended up, I think later on in the early 90s, being kind of Luigi's princess, Luigi's love interest.
I think that comes from this film, though. The love interest dynamic, because I read something about that. They're like, oh, we like that, and we'll keep it.
Cool, okay.
Which is so awkward in that old movie. Like, he's just instantly over her. It's just, and then who's that? Daniela? Like, she's...
Oh, Mario has a girlfriend?
Mario's relationship with Big Bertha or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Is it Big?
Yeah,
something?
Big Bertha.
Yeah. He just plays up in the middle of the film and then finds his missus again and it's like, there's no mention of it anymore.
Oh, and the way she just pulls him in for a kiss and... Oh, sorry, I'm getting distracted. But I'm just trying to talk about the mythology of Mario and just getting distracted by the weirdness of the old movie.
Well, I think also... the times were quite different, right? Like in terms of how do you adapt pop culture into these blockbuster films in the 90s? I mean, we had the Turtles, we had there were a few examples of it.
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat, and the ways that they have to find ways of doing the things that people enjoy in these pop culture icons. That matches, but I think now we've got a roadmap to that, and I think that's what this new Mario movie did really well. Was it gave us all of the things that we love about Mario, in a film that looked like the things that we were engaging with.
I think that's the thing, right? Is that effectively it's a slightly better version of a lot of the cutscenes in so many Mario games. Whereas back in 1993, you didn't have that. There was just limited visual cues, and so all you really have are the character names. That's pretty much the only thing that comes across. But like a lot of the stuff that's in this new Mario movie, it's straight out of 3D Mario World. Or
Odyssey.
Odyssey. And it's really cool. I loved all the Mario Kart reference stuff. There's a lot of
crazy. The music.
Yeah.
Like more so than anything else, I think it was the music that really got me, because I think 30, 40 years since Mario Bros. First came out. And if you play these games, the music is just part of your DNA.
Yeah.
Right? And then you hear the stuff. When they start the Mario Kart scene and they're picking up kart parks, just like in Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
And then they play the start screen music, dun dun.
Yes,
dun,
I noticed that
dun,
as well.
dun, dun. It's all orchestral. And I think I started tearing up.
Yeah. Yeah, my favourite moment was when they finally get the star at the end and they go into full star mode.
Yeah.
Which just, it works for the movie, so people that don't know the games don't, you don't need to know the games, because it's not fan servicey in the sense of wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's just there. I even love the 2D platformer running around in New York City.
Oh,
and
yeah.
later on, and Mushroom Kingdom.
And later on, when they do that, it's such an incredible sequence. And I wish they did that more, where it's the Mario 1-1 theme, reorchestrated, super grand, and Mario and Donkey Kong and just going around stomping on fools. And it's amazing. And really, going back to what you were both saying, isn't it incredible how kids these days get this level of content that's so consistent with what they're familiar with and what they love? Because back in 93, as you were saying, Billy, it definitely was not like that, right? The first time I watched the Mario Bros. 93 movie, I think it was maybe in 96 or 97, it was on VHS. And I have this very distinct memory of putting in the VHS, watching the trailers, and then the movie starts, and the Mario theme plays over the studio logos, and I was getting really excited because I recognized that, and that was the only the only moment of recognition throughout the entire thing.
Were you watching it with your parents or anything?
Yeah, with my brother and my parents, and it's like, whoa.
I just remember those moments as a kid watching movies with my parents, and then anytime there's anything kind of like romantic or something, like, can I go get you guys something from the kitchen? Because this is awkward so much.
I mean, again, so much of it is just really inappropriate. When we talked about Fiona Shaw's character, she's wearing like push-up bras, the whole thing. There's a scene where Koopa gets really creepy with Daisy, and it's like, oh, little girls always remember their first kiss. Like, oh my god.
Who saw Dennis Hopper in this movie? He is just full Dennis Hoppering everywhere. Like, he's just, everything, man. You've got to be evolved, man. Everything's going to be great, man.
There's that scene where he's like, Goombas.
The Goombas are, what is going on? Like little heads on top of massive bodies. The lift sequence where Luigi starts dancing them.
Yeah. What even is that?
And then it comes back later.
That's got to be a reshoot,
but it's
right?
great. It's great costuming. But it's also like were they trying to get the shape of the Goomba? You know?
Yeah.
Because the Goombas are the little brown mushrooms.
Yeah.
Oh, they are too.
Yeah, so I think that's what they were trying to go for.
No, but the opposite is, they're the opposite. It's a big head and tiny
But
body.
I think it's like the idea that if you jump on their head, and there's like one moment where they hit the little head, like that's how you kill them.
I think you're giving it too much credit.
Maybe I don't.
You're trying to justify creative choices that
No. They look like Goombas.
Guys, what about I'm pretty sure those guys in gimp suits are supposed to be Shy Guys.
Yeah.
Right, with the gas masks? Right?
But see, that's what I mean. Like, I'm looking throughout the whole movie for the references, and I was like, these trash guys must be Shy Guys.
Who did they make this movie for? Like, what is this?
And that's where I kept coming back to, because I was like, what is this? Who funds this? Because this is not great. And it's scary to me to think that, they did the rewrites because it was too sexual, and that's what they
dark.
Well, apparently the very first version of the script, it was going around Hollywood and people were calling it Drain Man. Because it was basically Rain Man with Mario and Luigi, and it was a really adult drama about these two plumbers. Like, what the heck?
It's like people back. I guess they just didn't have any respect for the source material. They just wanted to make a film, and they thought, we'll just pluck these. I guess that's what you alluded to, like how far we've come, like that awareness of how powerful fans are. That's another thing to remember. People weren't aware of how powerful that fandom was. Yeah. You had Star Wars, but the way that fans engaged with those sort of content was at Comic-Cons or through magazines. Like, it was a very one-way street, and kind of fans contributing back or being a part of the process just wasn't as much of a thing.
And that's why I made the reference to Jurassic Park too, because that's the only other thing. I was like, why did you go dinosaurs? There's not dinosaurs.
Well, I mean, Bowser's a dinosaur, right?
He's like a turtle man?
He's like a mutant turtle.
They didn't just go. Yeah, nice. They didn't just go dinosaurs. They went full Jurassic Park knockoff dinosaurs.
Although I will say Yoshi is so cool.
Yeah.
Like the amount of puppetry in that Yoshi puppet. My gosh, it's like the best effect hands down in the movie. And when he appears and does this thing with his tongue, it's like, oh, that's Yoshi.
Yoshi was the most to the lore character, I would say.
And it's still weird as.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen the Saturday Night Live sketch of... So it's a parody of The Last of Us, right? So it's when Pedro Pascal was on. It was maybe the start of this year. And it said, if you like gritty remakes or gritty adaptations of computer games, then you're going to love the new one from HBO. And it's Pedro Pascal as Mario. And it's Mario Kart, but it's really dark.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like... Now I'm like... It's kind of like this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Also, I love that in the real world, Mario has a rival. Like... Every time he brings up, Scapelli, I just cracked up. He's like this mob boss he's a developer. He's also into plumbing.
It reminded me of the Goonies. Like, there's so many movies.
With developers,
yeah, just like trying to push against it. But then he gets de-evolved, doesn't he, into an ape?
Yeah.
And everybody's like, ha ha ha.
Yeah. No one's surprised. These two people materialize out of nowhere, and everyone's just like, oh yeah, there they are.
Oh, it's a cute monkey. Oh.
With Scapelli, I just love how they also, again, going back to what you were saying, Billy, about trying to shoehorn in just real worldness. Making sure that you understand that they're Italians from Brooklyn, like from the accents to Mario's girlfriend to all the Brooklyn girls who are kidnapped.
Okay,
and they're really
the cigarette.
They're really funny. Like I forgot how funny they were. The one who always has a cigarette.
She always has a cigarette.
But it's just what do they call them? The Brooklyn Babes? No, the Brooklyn. They've got a name. The Brooklyn something. You know that sequence where they're on the mattress and they fly across. They fly across. So apparently someone didn't. They loosened the tension on the rope, and then they went off for lunch, and then nobody checked it. And one of the girls almost fell off that, and she would have dropped like 24 feet onto hard concrete.
Gosh.
Like just the dangerousness. I think Bob Hoskins broke multiple bones. He got stabbed at one point. The director allegedly poured hot coffee over an extra because he didn't like the way they were dressed. Like just the weirdness. Also, John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins, they realized very quickly how horrible this process was. So they just got drunk the whole time to get through. So you mentioned his shirt being off. I reckon they just let them do whatever they wanted.
Man.
Just to get through. And some of the stuff got like, I'm sure there's improvised lines in this that just don't make any sense.
Oh yeah.
It's just outrageous.
There's also really. I was listening to a podcast a couple of years ago, The Flophouse, which is fantastic. Shout out. But they had one of the writers who did the rewrites on the Mario movie as a guest, and he was saying how there was, because obviously everyone was really frustrated. It was going over budget, way over time. The actors were really angry. And there was a rewrite when apparently Dennis Hopper was so fuming that he got the two writers in. He got one of the assistants to bring in a dictionary and asked the writers to read him the definition of the word actor.
Wow. Didn't he have a 3-hour rant at one point to one of the directors?
Man.
Oh, it's just poor leadership. But also I think it's poor leadership not from the directors but also from the studio, just like undercutting what was going on. Can we talk about writing? Can we talk about Peach in the new film? Because that was my biggest issue with the new movie is I thought was it Anna Taylor-Johnson? Is she
Joy?
Anna Taylor-Joy? Sorry, she. I thought she did a great job with voice acting with Peach, and I thought her design was great. But she frustrated me in the sense that she just goes along. Like Mario turns up at her castle, she instantly goes along with it. I think Donkey Kong is a little bit guilty of this as well. And I was talking to a friend of mine earlier in the week about these female kind of tropes in these movies. It's the same with the Lego movie as well. I think to have quote-unquote strong female characters, it means they are just one note. There's no development, and they're kind of just this... It's just as bad as the Daisy character in
I think
their old film.
For the Lego movie, I will give it a little bit of defending because it's very, very clear that Wildstyle is just a piss take of Trinity from the Matrix series, right? Like so much of her is Trinity. She's kind of supposed to be the one, but she's not until at the end she kind of is. Peach I find weird because they're trying to do the hashtag girl boss thing, but it's in a way that's really I think jarring compared to what we traditionally know Peach as. Even when Peach takes a starring role in the games, that's not Peach, right? She's not like a bossy monarch who like takes charge in a real action-packed way. She takes charge, but in her own Peachy way, and it just didn't feel like Peach to me. And the second thing, why does Mario come along? If this is who Peach is, why doesn't she fight Donkey Kong?
Yeah.
Well, why doesn't she like fight Bowser and his minions? It just seems like a really weird narrative shortcut. And I also thought Anya Taylor-Joy, out of the entire cast, she was the one that really felt like this is a celebrity voice doing just a celebrity voice. I even thought Chris Pratt he's fine. I think a lot of people were shocked and gave him so much guff for, oh right, it's Chris Pratt as Mario. But for most of the cast, it's decent. I think Fred Armisen is a really weird choice for Cranky Kong, and I'm just this New Yorker who's a monkey now. But him and especially Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach, I don't think really work for me. But yeah,
I love Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. That was fun.
Yeah.
And Jack Black. Like I didn't know it was Jack Black until the song hit.
He's so good.
And I was like, oh, it's Jack Black.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was cool.
He was, I agree with you, because I didn't even pick up. I knew he was in the film, but I just forgot. And then it wasn't until, it wasn't even after the song, I was like, oh, it's Jack Black. And I agree with Seth Rogen. It was his kind of like little Seth Rogen giggle.
Yeah, that they put it in the movies.
Yeah. And it really works for Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
But in terms of Peach, I agree with you. Like, I'm wondering if this is just a problem with the source material, and that Peach is ostensibly the princess to be saved very often, right? Are you laughing because...
It's like the Zelda thing.
Yeah.
Right?
I think about our buddy and how much she doesn't like Zelda mythology because Zelda needs to be saved all the time.
Yeah.
Which, Zelda doesn't always need to be saved. But it is the heart of it, that is the idea, right? Link needs to save Zelda.
Yeah, and even when Zelda is like has the extra, she's got the ninja skills and which is the same thing we kind of see with Peach in this new movie too.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, she's still very like in this feminine role.
Yeah.
But she can kick butt, but she still needs little Mario
to save the day. I think about Zelda. I think about Ocarina of Time. Like you've got her when you've got that spoilers for Ocarina of Time, but that great reveal of is it Sheikah? Sheik, and she's revealed to be Zelda, and she's an amazing warrior. And then for the final battle, she's literally back in her princess clothes in a floating bubble. Like it is problematic, and so I just wonder about that. But then I do think about those again, 3D Mario World, where you can either play as Mario, Luigi, Peach, or Toad, and Peach, she is such an active warrior, or I think about Mario vs. Rabbids, and she has all of her own kind of fighting style.
Or even Mario Odyssey, where for the entire thing she's going to be wed to Bowser. And spoilers for Mario Odyssey. At the end, the whole denouement is she doesn't want to marry Mario or Bowser. She just goes off on her own adventures, and then you meet her through the game, post game, where she's exploring with Toad and like finding new things and being an explorer, and it's such a cool payoff for the entire game up to that point.
Nice. I did like the wedding inclusion as well in this film because it's such the white Bowser suit. It's such a big part.
The piranha plant bouquet.
Yeah. I also really the thing that got me and I just was giggling was when Luigi ends up in that horror area and he's like literally like with the light because it's just directly out of Haunted Mansion.
Mario.
I think that was also one of the things where I forgave the film quite a bit is because they had to pack so much into like a story that people could follow. Like they had to have that moment where Donkey Kong is fighting Mario and then turns around and be friends with him so they can do the kart stuff. And like it kind of threw me back a little bit to Superman versus Batman, where it's like, Martha, why did you say that name? It's my mother. Let's be friends and go fight the big dude at the end, which is where we want to get to. You know
some writer just had like an epiphany at 3 o'clock in the morning. He's like, oh my gosh, they both got the same name. That's the plot point. And then never went back and revised it. But I agree with you, Billy. I agree. I think that the way that it hoodwinked in different references was a really satisfying thing to watch, and I'll forgive it for some of its little plot holes or
I think it does it even have a plot? It just seems like it's this and then this happened and then this happened, especially the Mario Kart thing, which again in my audience, man, people loved Mario Kart because the moment they started building the karts, you hear the kids go like, oh, Mario Kart, it's Mario Kart 8.
I think Mario Kart's actually more famous now than more people have played Mario Kart than they have played any of the Mario games. Definitely in our flat we play a lot of Crash Team Racing, which is it's a Mario Kart ripoff. Just people are more nostalgic if they've played PlayStation with that, and it's the one that we keep coming back to. And
there's a couple of sequences with those karts. First of all, when I think it's Funky Kong who like takes them to the palace, and they fly off a ramp, and then the paraglider opens up, and my heart kind of soared with the kart because I was just like, oh my gosh, that's from the games.
Yeah, and it's the sort of thing that you wish and you're desperate to find in that old movie, right? It's like, I wanted those moments to happen in the old film. but instead we get...
Well, there's a couple of those. Like we talked about Yoshi already. When the bomb comes out, it's almost like the Leo pointing meme.
Where does he get... where does he get these things? Where does Mario get these items?
Lance Henriksen creates them out of his fungal body.
Yeah.
Is that?
That's
And he like...
it's the fungus always giving it
secretes it out.
And Luigi's always like, the fungus is talking to us. And then he picks it, and I'm like, eat it. Eat the fungus. Because it's going to give you powers. But then I'm like, no, that's a person.
It's so weird. But also, why is the fungus dead like a butthole with a ball
So
coming out?
I watched this in Melbourne with my family, including my mum. Every time the fungus appeared on Shane, she was like, no, I can't do it. And she left this, she just walked out of the room.
It's the weirdest thing. And then it's Lance Henriksen. I don't... Were they hoping for a sequel? Okay, can we talk about the ending of it as well? When Daisy just comes back, she's like,
oh my god.
You've got it. Something's happened. That's not a...
It's the words are, you're never gonna believe this.
Did you stay for the after credit scene? I didn't.
Wait, there's an after credits?
Yeah, I didn't know.
For which one?
I was like, I'm just going to just fast forward to the end for the 93 one. There's a post credit scene.
Oh my god.
I was like, I don't think they do post credit scenes, but I'll just fast forward to the end, and it's the I think it's the Nintendo Big Boss.
Oh my god.
And he's talking to Spike, the Koopa cousins, and he's like, we really want to tell your story through a video game. What would we call it? And they say, oh, it's the Koopa cousins. And I know that they've got that. There's that other video game, right, with Bowser's the Koopa.
Is there?
Yeah, there's like a Koopa game.
Is there a game called the Koopa Cousins?
Nah.
Should we Google it? Have you looked at it?
Yeah, I tried to find Koopa Cousins,
But
it
Billy,
just references
my
that.
mouth is agape.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised that there was a post-credit scene.
So they must have... Maybe they planned to create a game, and it's like that terrible scene in The Return of Skywalker. I know what is it called? Whatever the last Star Wars movie was.
Rise
of Skywalker. And there's that character that used to be a stormtrooper, and he's like, and Lando Curry's like, let's find out your story. And I'm like, well, that's such a poor way to bring another franchise.
Speaking of Star Wars, again, I've just been rewatching Andor, which is such an incredible show, which is all about acting. And Fiona Shaw plays Andor's mother, and she ends up with some heartbreaking monologues, just powerful, trenchant, current, talk about fascism and freedom. And watching that and watching her role in this back to back, it is wow.
It's quite nice you bring her up because I forgot she's in that, and she's playing a different character for her, because I've seen Fiona Shaw. Of course, she's Mrs. Dursley in the Harry Potter films. She's in Four Weddings and a Funeral, and
she is.
She's made a career in the 90s and 2000s of playing not very nice, judgy, stuffy woman. And I think her character in Andor is great. She's really, really good. Do you want to talk about the music in the original film?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So again, going back to Mario Bros. 23. The music, for the most part, is the highlight of the movie, in my opinion. What was his name? Steve Tyler? I think Steven Tyler is, or Brian Tyler? Brian Tyler.
Steven Tyler's the lead singer of Aerosmith.
That's right. Yeah. Don't want to miss a thing.
Yeah.
But Brian Tyler, I think his score is brilliant, right? It takes so many Mario themes and cues. There's little bits from Mario 64 when Mario's exploring Mushroom Kingdom, that's Bob-omb Battlefield. And then, strangely enough, it jumps to the most overused 80s tracks, I think, of all time. When Aha's Take On Me appears, I don't know how you guys felt about it.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah. It's during the original, they go to Donkey Kong World, and during the whole kart sequence, it's take me on.
Yeah, vaguely remember that. Yeah,
and then at the beginning where they play the Kill Bill I
thought it was cheap, and I was like, who's gonna get this? This is 20 years old now, and
when Transformers did this in 2007, it was already dated.
Yeah,
and then of course they finished the movie with possibly the most overplayed pop tune of all time, Mr. Blue Sky. And I was just like, I'm out. But again, the Brian Tyler's music is amazing compared to the original, which it really feels like it was something dark and gritty, and Disney execs or some other property manager, maybe Nintendo, I don't know, came in and said, this is way too dark for kids. We got to make it whimsical, you guys. And Alan Silvestri came in and has the most discordant, like, I think I recorded a cappella version for you, Jeremy, which goes like this. What the heck is going on? And I think why the movie is or has become a cult classic in a way is because of this discordance. It's a movie trying to be so many things at once that it comes out being a product that you just don't see anymore. And I don't think you even saw stuff like this back in '93, right? It's so weird, so off-putting, but with things that are such, flashes of creative brilliance. And the music really, I think, puts it on a whole nother level. Like, it just does not work. But in its own weird way, it's strangely charming.
I think that's the kind of the thesis statement of the whole film, right? It doesn't work, but it's strangely charming. Will I ever watch it again? No.
No.
Well, guys, what about, in retrospect, that weird sequence where they go back to the real world? Scapelli's turned into a monkey, and they walk back to Dino Haddon, and you see the World Trade Center warp into the ruined, burnt-out husk of the World Trade Center in the year 1993.
Yeah, true. Does that ever get returned back to normal in the world of the film?
I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, because I think we see the towers in the other world first as well.
Yeah.
Because I remember I felt a little bit, I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah.
But then remembering it's the time before all of that.
Yeah. And you definitely do, because I think that was the first time I saw it. I was like, is it the World Trade Center? And then when it does turn into it, I was like, okay, this is where we're at. But it's amazing, like of a time where that's just so unfathomable that these things could be destroyed. And I do think the world really changed, at least pop culture, Western world changed in September 11th, 2001. I do think that we don't get movies quite like this anymore because and I remember when I just watched rewatched bits of the Lord of the Rings series when the Two Towers was coming out the year after the Twin Towers was destroyed. There was some chatter about that, but it never really became a thing. But then the thing that they really had to focus on in the third Lord of the Rings movie was how do we destroy the Tower of Barad-dûr without evoking any imagery of the towers coming down, which I'm like, that's a massive feat. And so if you remember the end of Lord of the Rings, when Frodo throws the ring into the fire, spoiler alert, the tower kind of breaks like glass, and the thing kind of falls on its side, and then it sort of explodes.
That's right.
So they had to create a way that it would disintegrate without, just really different imagery to the falling down of the 9/11 towers.
Yeah, I think, that's what these two movies juxtapose for me, is kind of like how far things have come and what narratives you're allowed to take. Like, I even felt a little bit like the Bowser story or his driving force being Peaches kind of really got to me a little bit. I was like, oh, are we past this narrative of just yucky masculinity stuff? But then also Peaches.
And that's going to be one of the greatest moments of this year in terms of pop culture contributions, which is just, it's just they've given the microphone to Jack Black.
Yeah.
So go for it.
It's like, we haven't written anything, just come up with whatever.
It's amazing.
It's so well written too, eh? Like, I think someone was like the chord progression, that's the word.
Yeah.
Comes from what's the Rickroll?
Oh, never gonna give you.
Cool.
Yeah. So like you can see the same chord progression through Peaches.
Oh, that's cool.
Peaches. So like there's even references within the references he's given.
I think the Mario 23 is really interesting because it's directed by Aaron Hovath and Michael Jovanik, who are the people behind Teen Titans Go. And it's just such a different tone from that, because Teen Titans, and especially I think I've talked about Teen Titans Go to the movies on this podcast, and I really love that thing. But Teen Titans Go is really irreverent, and it's all about making fun of tropes and making fun specifically of superhero stuff, right? It doesn't hold any of that stuff up on a silver platter. But Mario is kind of the opposite of that. It just feels like this is real, like, brand management stuff. We want to play it super safe. We've said so already, like making sure the audience knows what they're getting into and sees what they love in a way that makes sense in the context of their knowledge of the games. Really strange that these two people were brought in because they're not really known for that stuff. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for listening to another episode of Cinema in Context. If you enjoy our podcast, consider signing up to our Patreon. Cinema in Context patrons receive access to exclusive minisodes, opportunities for one-on-one discussions about the films you love, and our extended episode catalogue, including extended content of the episode you're listening to right now. For this episode, we just discussed, what did we discuss, Tim? Movies that we would partner with this, our favourite moments, something we would change.
Other Nintendo movies we want to be made into movies or shows?
Yes. We talk about Zelda, and I think that was pretty much the only content, right? Smash Bros.
Oh, a Metroid movie would be so cool.
Sky Fox? Are they making Sky Fox?
Oh, I think the opportunities are limitless.
Find out more at patreon.com/cinema in context. You can listen to Cinema in Context on SoundCloud, Spotify, Radio Public, Stitcher, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. You can follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, which are great places to let us know what you think of this episode, as well as give us suggestions for future films to discuss and compare. Look out for our next episode in a month's time, and until then, no mai.